Anderson, and we're doing a holiday series on local flavor. I'm here at the beautiful Destination Kitchen in downtown Norton, and we're going to be working on a pumpkin pie for our holiday series.
What would Thanksgiving be without pumpkin pie?
Right, just a minute. And Cindy's going to be leading the way on our pumpkin pie here, and the best part is the homemade crust.
Yes.
When you say?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And this particular crust is majorly butter. We put in 1/4 cup of shortening, and your fat, and it all serves a different purpose. And there's lots of pie crusts that are made all with shortening or lard or something like that. And I personally like the flavor that butter has for a crust, and so that's why I prefer this recipe. The thing that you need to know is that butter in the oven goes a little bit differently than like shortening in the oven, and so if you're going to do a single crust pie, then you need to be sure and use pie weights in your pie plate, and otherwise it will shrink down the side.
Why don't you show us what you mean by that?
So
Okay.
we're gonna bake the pie in the crust.
Here's one.
But
Okay.
she is talking about if you bake your pie crust initially, then fill it with like a cream.
Cream filling. So we're going to pretend that the pie crust's in here and that we've chilled it, so it's going to be hard. And then we're going to put this foil in here and do it in the shape of the pie. And then these are pie weights, and basically you can use also raw beans, or you can use raw rice, which at different points here in Destination Kitchen we've needed more, and we've ended up mixing them up. But for a smaller pie, this would probably be enough. This is pretty much a deeper dish pie, so
Yeah.
we just kind of dump them all in there together, and then you're going to bank them up the side. And what that helps is to hold your pie crust up against the side of the pie plate.
Otherwise, it might all pool
Right,
in the middle.
Right. And so we're going to bake this for 20 minutes at 400 degrees. And then when that time is over, then we're going to pull this out. And for about 10 minutes more, or until it's nicely baked, you're going to bake it without this.
And that's not for the pie we're doing today, but if we're doing a cream pie that
Okay.
you fill afterwards. Okay.
So now we
See,
need...
I never used a pie weight before, so
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned it.
Right. So we're starting out with our 2½ cups of, this is unbleached flour.
Okay.
And then we're going to get our butter out of the cooler because we want chilled butter. And we're going to use a pastry blender. There's also different procedures for doing this too. Some people use their hands. There's a tendency for your hands to get warm. And I left it on the scale. Oh, and so it's heat that is your enemy. And so the less that you can handle pie crust, the flakier and better it's going to be.
But wouldn't it just be easier to mix if I melted the butter?
No, because your fat needs to remain in a
stay
solid
cold.
form.
I was just trying to trip you up. I knew that we had to have cold butter.
Okay. Oh, so that's why you don't bring it up to room temperature either, because otherwise you're not going to get it to cut through the flour the way that you want it to.
Now, have you already put the sugar and salt in this crust too?
Oh, glad you reminded me. No, we need that in there. That's a teaspoon of each, a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of sugar. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. It's a good thing Deborah's here. Keep me on track.
Well, I have nothing else to do.
Oh. So basically you don't want to grind the butter into the flour. You're trying to layer it into the flour. So you're going to use a process of, it's almost like you're slicing with this instrument. Oh. And do you see how it's starting to get a small pea-size form of the butter?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're trying to achieve here.
And it's okay if there's still some loose flour?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And then we're going to take our 1/4 cup of shortening, which we've also had in the cooler. Before I start pie crust, I always just put the 1/4 cup of shortening in the freezer, and then it's nice and
Then
cool
it's nice and cold.
when I get ready to use it. So G's getting that for me. Thank you. And I think I have a white spatula right there. Thanks. All right. So we're going to pull this out of here.
Oh, a new spatula. I've never seen
we
this
like
one.
this little skinny guy. Oh, so we're going to get that down in the flour. And so once again, we're going to cut this in.
Looks like you kind of go back and forth and then down, down, down.
But I'm pushing it this way. I'm not going straight down.
Okay,
right?
that's
Okay.
good to know.
Okay. So we've got that mixed in there. And now we need some moisture.
Yes.
So we're going to get some water, but it also needs to be cold. So I have ice water over here. And I believe the recipe says 1/3 cup. Would that be right?
Yes, plus 1 tablespoon for some reason.
Okay. So the whole idea, I have to find the 1/3 cup here.
I can see it. Oh, you
Are we
went
there?
over.
I went over. Oh dear. Okay. So we're going to pour some back in there. But I always end up using more than 1/3 cup. And so what the recipe is saying is start with 1/3 and then start adding it by tablespoonfuls.
If it's not enough, right?
Right. And I'm going to need a white plastic spatula.
And don't forget
See?
ice cold water because you don't want it melting your
Right.
fats.
And so we're just going to kind of throw that water or the flour over the water.
Don't you think
Whoops, and then we bounced it out.
Don't you think that when the butter is still firm, it makes your crust flakier?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do too.
So that's still falling apart pretty good. So I'm going to dribble a little more water in there.
Okay.
Whoops.
I like how you drizzle it over instead of just dumping it.
Dumping it in, yeah. And so kind of cut it with your spatula here so that it's distributed. And a good way is if it'll stick on your spatula like that pretty
Then
good.
you know it's wet enough. Okay.
Okay. So this is actually a recipe for 2 pie crusts.
Just 2.
Mm-hmm. But we just need 1 for our purposes, right? We're
Uh-huh.
just making 1 pie, except the recipe actually is for 2 pie crusts
The recipe's for 2 pie crusts and
and
your
2 pies for the pumpkin. So anyway, we're going to make 2 pies today, aren't we?
2 modern sized pies.
Yeah.
Because we make bigger pies now.
My recipe's really, really old for the filling, and so we kind of realized that actually it probably was for a very small old-fashioned pie.
Yeah.
Because most of them are deep dish these days.
So you're making it into a disc shape and you put
I
it.
am, and then I'm going to put it in the cooler.
Okay.
So
How long does it need to chill?
I'd say at least an hour.
Okay.
You could probably hurry things along in the freezer a little bit if you want to. But so now we're going to roll out our pie crust that we've had.
One you
in
made
the-
before.
Yes.
And look, I can still see chunks of butter in that.
Yeah.
Can you get that, Ivan? Can you see how the fats in there are still in chunks? They never melted in.
So there's a process sometimes that I do when it comes out, and it's actually then smearing the fat. So you can do this, and then you get rid of that chunk.
Okay.
Okay? So we're going to get it back into our mound here. We're going to begin rolling it out. And I think the whole thing with pie crust is not to give up. If you get started and things aren't going the direction that you think they should, then just fold it back up and try again. So we're going to flour our rolling pin. We're just going to get this.
Now, did you let this set to room temperature too before you didn't?
I
take it-
didn't.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah. You'll have to take it out a little bit. And these pie crusts actually freeze, and so you can let them thaw out in the refrigerator to get them so that they're more pliable. There we go. All right. And everybody's going, how in the world is she going to get that rolled out into a pie crust? Are you worried? Oh, it's like I've got some sticking going on my... But what we're seeing is flaking, and so that's a really good thing.
So I would be worried that I didn't have enough moisture in it, but you're saying you want this to flake a little like this.
Yeah, but I don't want it sticking to
stick
my
to the-
rolling pin. Right.
That's naughtiness.
Naughtiness is right. So we'll put a little extra flour there. We'll keep. I really
now
feel,
that looks
yeah.
like it's supposed to.
And I feel like all butter crusts take a little extra.
This one
Help.
escaped.
Uh-oh, she's tasting. So how are we doing there?
It's good.
Okay. Oh.
Now, how thin are you gonna have to get this?
Well, we need it to fit into our pie plate. And so actually, it's not about thinness, but size.
size,
All
okay.
right. And so you hope
Because when
that,
we made our bread, we were worried about how thick it was.
right, right. So you hope that you have measured well. So
See, I never thought that was gonna come together like that. You were awesome.
there we go. Patch, 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 huh?
We're gonna cover it up with pumpkin.
Yep. So we're going to do a 9-inch pie. Oh. And another thing about rolling that I think is really important is that sometimes we do it on our countertop or wherever where we might not be able to stretch it out just like we'd like to. And that's the whole idea. You see, I'm even stopping here because that pitcher of water's there. So you're not going to get an even crust if you're
working around things that are in your way.
yes, so it's important to get a nice big place.
There is no way to do this kind of stuff mechanically, is there?
Not the rolling
Not the
process.
rolling.
Is
I
that
didn't
what
think
you're
so.
asking?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And I probably could have used a little more moisture, but I need the bench scraper.
I don't know what that is.
And maybe we don't have it over there. Anyway, we're going to go ahead without it. You see that stuck on there? And if I had my bench scraper, it would have just gone underneath of that. There we go. There's ways to work around it. So then we're going to do a half. And we're going to fold this guy in there. And we're having a little bit of breakage going on here.
Should we panic?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh, so we're going to make this look pretty. We're going to roll these edges under.
So you don't trim them off. You are just making
Nope.
a higher crust.
We're going to roll this guy under. Move that over a little bit. The thing you don't want to do is stretch your crust. So we've eased it in there. And now we're just putting it together so we can crimp the edge.
And
How are
beautiful
we doing?
pie plate. Where's this from?
Emal and Ray, our
Oh,
favorite. Yeah.
awesome.
We think they bake up really nice. And you know, if you are short of time and you don't have time to make the pie crust, you can always get a prepackaged one, but it's always a good feeling to make a pie crust from scratch, and it tastes better too. Oh. So we're going to go around with floured fingers here, and we're going to just go in between there and crimp that, make our little design. There's lots of different, some people just take a fork and fork it down.
Oh, look how pretty you did it with your fingers.
Yeah.
That looks just like at the store.
Yeah, only a little rougher, right?
Yeah.
Because then we know it's homemade.
Right.
Oh, and I've ended up with a little piece of butter there.
That'll be the piece everyone fights over.
Yeah. And so sometimes you can take a little water, patch those little spots up. It's good to know that it doesn't have to be perfect, right, Deborah?
I don't think it has to be perfect because if it were too perfect, you wouldn't want anyone to eat it.
Right.
You'd say, "Don't touch my masterpiece."
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're pretty good to go there.
All right, and we're not going to bake this one because we're putting pumpkin pie filling in
We're
it.
just going to scoot this over and we're going to start on the filling. Let me get my hands washed up.
Since we're making the kind of pie that has to be baked anyway,
Right.
let's do them at the same time.
And interestingly enough, I think we talked about this pie starts at a high temperature, 450, and then it goes down to 350 after, I think in a deep
10
dish pie it
minutes.
needs to be 8 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I need another bowl, G. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I just need something to dump the flour in. There we go. I mean the sugar. I've got it.
All
and
right.
I need 6 eggs. I forgot to get the eggs, but we're going to start out here with the filling, and let's talk a little bit about pie filling.
Okay. Is this the pumpkin pie filling or?
This is just pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
If you look on
Okay.
here, the only ingredient is pumpkin. And so we are using Libby's. You can use, fresh pumpkins out of your garden that you have actually baked and gotten the inside out of. So we're doing 6 eggs here real quick.
Okay. At least we don't have to separate them.
No. And I like to get the sugar and the eggs mixed up.
Hand me the can and I'll try and figure out how many cups that is in there.
Okay.
It's all in Spanish.
All in Spanish. Okay. Then we're going to put in
I think about 4 cups.
2.5 or 1.5.
32 ounces.
No, 2.5 cups of sugar. Better get that part right. 2.5 cups of sugar. So we're going to mix that in.
Oh, what a pretty color, yellow.
Yes. But it's going to get that color soon, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we're going to start on the spices. So what's one spice we always know is in pumpkin pie? Because it varies a little bit with different recipes.
I would say my first guess is cinnamon.
Right, okay. And this particular recipe is for 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. G. So let's see, that's 3/4, and so we need 1.5. Excuse me, just a minute. I left my things over here. There we go. I need some salt. So we have the ground cinnamon. It's 1.5 teaspoons. I'm going to put that in there. And we want to clean it off so that it's, because we're baking now, we have to be a little more exact.
Exactly.
All right.
I'm sorry I had to do it.
That's
It's got a really
okay.
nice oil content to
Yeah.
make it nice and
Yeah.
fragrant.
Then the other thing that we have is, I need the zester. Whole nutmeg.
Here it is.
Okay, she spies it. So we're going to get that cinnamon mixed in there.
Oh, look how nice and thick it is. Now you're
This is whole nutmeg, and this is a microplane zester. And we need 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg.
that really,
Anyway, that-
really sharp
Yep.
flavor.
Yeah. So we're going to get our 1/2 teaspoon. I already had some done, but I just can't not do that because then the smell is so wonderful, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. And then we need 3/4 teaspoon of salt. There we go. And I think that's all.
Milk? Did you put in milk?
Not yet. And,
Not ready?
No, that's all right. And some recipes use evaporated milk, but we're just using fresh milk.
Okay.
Thank you. She's got me ready.
So if you buy the pumpkin pie filling, does it already have these spices in it?
I think so. I've never actually purchased any.
Yeah, let's do it ourselves. This has about 3.5 to 4 cups in it. So if you made your own pumpkin, you'd know how much you need.
Yep. So we're going to put all of that in there, and we're going to hope that our bowl is going to
Yeah, this will be a
hold
test.
all of this, huh? Not sure it's going to. And
We need to come
get
down
some
here and buy more
out.
bowls.
Yeah. Okay. She got me
nice
all
big
fixed
one?
up.
Good
All
deal.
right. And another spatula to get all that goodie out of there. And you're supposed to add the milk last, so it's not particular exactly of how the ingredients go in before that, but the milk needs to be added last. So we're going to transfer this all over here and use our whisk to get it all incorporated.
So is it important to use a whisk? Could you use your mixer or?
You could use your mixer or a fork or whatever. It's kind of nice that you don't have to actually get it out because
It's pretty easy to mix.
there's no power necessary. You know, it's just incorporating the ingredients. So we're going to get that all in there good.
It's smelling very pumpkin pie-ish.
Is it? All right.
Oh, and it's going to take a lot of milk. I see her getting us a lot.
Yeah. So here we go. 1 3/4 cups, right?
2 3/4 cups.
2. Okay, I forgot.
Those are cute.
Mm,
Is that just painted or is there?
yeah.
Oh, to keep it from slipping.
Mhm,
Awesome.
Non-stick, yes. Okay, now we're going to get the milk in there. And then we're going to make sure our oven is at
450 to start.
yes.
Right. And then when we put it down to 350, do we have to take the pie out till it gets down there or just turn it down?
Nope, just turn it down. So this is pretty runny. That's the way.
That's how it's supposed to be?
Yep. Whoops. And then we ran it right over the side. All right.
Things. There are casualties sometimes
Yep.
in the kitchen.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to take our pie crust. And I think we'll actually take one of our little measuring cups here. This one had water in it, so we'll pour that out just to make a little neater job of it here.
And we're not putting the whole amount in, just
Half of it.
half of it.
We are ready for the oven.
And 450 degrees
Right.
for about 8 to 10 minutes.
And then,
Then once we turn it down, another 40 to 50 minutes
Right.
at the lower temperature,
and
350.
because, you know, it's thicker, it takes a little longer than that.
Oh, even longer.
Right. But
Because-
guess what?
What?
We have one done.
We don't
over
have to
here.
wait.
No.
And we're gonna,
We're going to whip some cream because
Yay.
pumpkin pie is not good without whipped cream. And maybe G can go ahead and cut a piece of the pie for us so we can
so we'll have the whipped
whipped
cream
cream
ready.
to go on it.
Now, what kind of container is this?
Yeah, I had it
Is this just a
somewhere.
measuring cup or?
It is. It actually comes with, this is called an immersion blender.
Oh, it comes with this.
Yeah, and so there's another piece that goes on here
Uh-huh.
that you can do smoothies or puree, soups, whatever. Then there's also another section that goes on there that you can use as a small food processor. So,
Cool.
yeah.
I've only seen them with the little blade, the protected blade, so this is
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So I have some powdered sugar. This is about 1.5 cups of cream. And I also like to put a little vanilla over there, and I think G's gonna find that in one of those little metal cups for me, but we're gonna start whipping. Here we go. Noise. So as soon as this gets whipped up just a little bit, then
This
we're
is-
going to start putting some powdered sugar in
So
there.
far, all you've got is heavy whipping cream.
Right. Okay. Now we're going to put a little powdered sugar in there.
Powdered sugar.
Yeah.
How
And
much
this
did
is
you put
about-
in?
I have about 1/3 cup there. I didn't use all of it. That's
Okay.
also personal taste, how sweet you want it, because you can actually put none in if you want.
Some people put none. I'm all for sugar.
Yep. And you can also use brown sugar if you would like it to be not white. But
Oh, that would be good on a pumpkin pie. Good
yeah,
idea.
Yeah. And this is about 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla.
Oh, it thickens up so quickly.
something there. How are we doing? Okay. We have our pumpkin pie.
Yay!
And we have a spoon for our whipped cream.
I can't believe how thick that got. And look how smooth it is. Oh, goodbye, sticky, gross Cool Whip, right?
Right.
If you love Cool Whip, I'm sorry. It's very gooey. Mmm. Let me try just the whipped cream first.
Oh.
It's good. I put a little more sugar.
Would
I
you?
think.
Okay.
I love
Should
it
have
sweet.
used it all.
Yeah. But that's only because I tasted it alone. With the pie, it just makes a nice topping with it. Because there's enough sweetness in the pie, definitely. Now, take a look at this little flaky crust.
Yes, on the bottom.
Can you see? So nice.
And then flaky top crust.
Oh, see how it crumbles?
That's what we want.
Yeah.
So just
what
try
I
a little
want.
crust there.
It's awesome.
Yay!
Very good. And you get the butter definitely makes it a better pie crust.
Right, right. And
Harder to work with maybe, but
and it's what we eat the whole turkey dinner for, is to get to the pumpkin pie.
that's right. You have to finish the other stuff first.
Right.
Well, thank you. The pumpkin pie is delicious. And
Yeah.
thank you all for joining us for our holiday series on local flavor.
Thank you.